All right, in this video, we're going to learn about Module 4, Lesson 4, writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. So this is our benchmark AR 2.2, write a linear two-variable equation for a line that is parallel or perpendicular to a given line and goes through a given point. So parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. We talked about this in Module 4, Lesson 3. So those two things you must remember when we're trying to complete the practice for 4.4. In this first example, it says write the equation of a line that is parallel to y is equal to 10x minus 3 and goes through the point 1, 5. So parallel means that we have the same slope, and our slope of this equation is 10 because that's the coefficient of the x. Now it's going to pass through the point 1, 5, so we have to use that x and y value and either plug it into our point slope form or to our slope intercept form and solve for b. You can choose either method. You do not have to do both. You just have to choose one or the other that you prefer to use. Now, first we're going to go through the point slope form, which remember is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we would plug in our y, our m, and our x from the information we were previously given. So once I plug in those values, I then need to simplify. So I distributed the 10 to the x, and the 10 times negative 1 gave me negative 10. And then I added 5 to both sides, and I get y was equal to 10x minus 5. Now, if you don't like to use that method and you want to use the slope-intercept method, then I would write down these notes. Again, I'm plugging in my y value, my slope, and my x value, and now I have to solve for b. So 10 times 1 is just 10. 5 is equal to 10 plus b. I subtract 10 from both sides, and I get b is equal to negative 5. So now I have y is equal to 10x minus 5. Now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try this next example on your own and see if you've got it right. All right, let's check it out. So again, we can use either method here. You don't have to use both. You just have to be able to use one comfortably. So parallel to negative 4 means our slope is going to be negative 4. Our point is 0 and negative 1. So if I'm using point slope form, I'm going to plug in my y value, negative 1, my m value, negative 4, and my x value of 0, and then simplify. Looks like my animations are off. So once I plug that all in, when I subtract a negative 1, it became a positive 1. Negative 4 times x was a negative 4x, and negative 4 times 0 just became 0. So I ended up with y is equal to negative 4x minus 1. Now, if I used my slope-intercept form and solve for b, I again would plug in my negative 1, my negative 4, and my 0. And this one was really easy because I had my x value of 0, b was just equal to negative 1. So y was equal to negative 4x minus 1. Now, if we're writing an equation of a line that is perpendicular, remember that's our opposite reciprocal slope, and our slope here is negative 5/8. What we're going to have is where our slope now is going to be a positive 8/5. So that's what we're going to use for our slope in our point slope form or in our slope-intercept form when we go to find the equation of the line. So our x value is negative 5 and our y value is negative 3. We're going to plug that into the point slope form. So the negative 3 goes in for my y, the 8/5 for my slope, and the negative 5 here for my x. So y minus a negative 3 and x minus a negative 5 is going to simplify to y plus 3 and x plus 5. Then I have to distribute the 8/5, so I'm going to have 8/5 x, and 8/5 times 5 is 8. Then I have plus 3, so I have to subtract 3 from both sides, and my final answer is y is equal to 8/5 x plus 5. Now, if I did this using the slope-intercept form and I solve for b, then I'm going to plug in my y, my slope, and my x, and then simplify and solve for b. So 8/5 times -5 is -8. When I add 8 to both sides, I get b is equal to 5. And so y is equal to 8/5 x plus 5. Either method works. It's whichever one you think is easier to work with. Are you better at distributing the slope to the x and to the constant in the parentheses, or are you better at just multiplying and then subtracting or adding to the other side to solve for b? It's your choice. So this last one I want you to try on your own. Pause the video, come back to see if you got it right. All right, now that you're back, let's write an equation of a line that is perpendicular. You can use either method. You don't have to write down both. Perpendicular, again, is an opposite reciprocal slope. So we have -x minus 5. The opposite reciprocal of -1 is just going to be a +1. So I'm going to use the point -5, -1, and use the point slope form. So if I'm using point slope, I'm going to plug in my y value here, my x value here. This slope will be where it's in pink. So I have y plus 1 is equal to 1 times x plus 5 because these double negatives made it a positive. Then I had to simplify, so I distributed the 1, which didn't change anything inside the parentheses. And then my last step, subtract the 1, and I get y is equal to x plus 4. Slope-intercept, if I used that method, I would plug in my y, my slope, and my x. Well, 1 times -5 is -5, so I'm going to now add 5 to both sides so that I can solve for b. And 4 is equal to b. So now I could write my equation, y is equal to 1x plus 4. You will notice that I don't have the 1 listed here or here because the 1 is implied. I would not have the 1 listed in my answer choices. All right, that's it for Module 4, Lesson 4. Go ahead and complete the 5 practice problems. Bye.